Good evening, everyone. I don't know if everybody's gotten the memo, but football's back, and that's why Anthony and I are here tonight to give you our picks for this week. It's going to be a short and sweet show. We're just going to give you our picks, a little bit of analysis, and then we're going to move on to the next game. So we have a lot of games to go through. Um, we're going to start the show right now. All right. Good evening. We are pretty excited for these picks. How this is going to work is Anthony and I are each going to give our picks for the game. A lot of them are going to be the same because obviously, there's only two teams to choose from, and some teams are good, some teams are bad. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through, give our picks to the game, and we're going to keep a cumulative tally and see who comes out on top at the end of the season. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get right into it, Anthony. How you doing today?
Let's get this going. We are on a clock. I mean, there's football is kickoffs. I think like an hour and a half or so. I still got to take a shower. I haven't done anything from the gym. I just got back from work. I made some dinner. Let's just do this, man.
All right. So let's get right into it. First game. Right. Well, first game is tonight. Baltimore and Kansas City. Last year, Kansas City were the defending champs, and defending champs always get the first game, the home game, and Kansas City lost to Detroit last year. And what was a pretty shocking game, actually. Kadarius Toney dropped a bunch of Patrick Mahomes footballs and everything. How do you see this one shaking out tonight?
Man, I'm going to tell you right now. One of the things I pointed out, this Discord chat, was just how different that wide receiving core looked like that. 1 year ago, it was September 1st of last year versus September 1st of this year. Two of their three starters aren't even in the NFL anymore. Their third starter, Sky Moore, he's just a janky backup now. Like, they have completely revamped that wide receiver core. I love what they've done. I know that Hollywood Brown's not going to be in tonight, but I mean, just that first round pick of Xavier Worthy. We know Kadarius Toney isn't even in the NFL, bro. Like, he's gone. Nobody wants him, Weston. Nobody wants him.
Not even Weston wants him.
I mean, geez, that dude has played himself all out of the NFL in less than 4 years. That dude is speed running out of the NFL. Fantastic. He did it at UDFA pace.
Yeah.
So how do I see this one shaking out? I do believe I have a friend who's got a bet. He parlayed something like the under is 47. Mahomes gets 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce or Derrick Henry get a touchdown. And it's paying like 20-1 odds. I love that bet. I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win it. I don't think they're going to be able to get their running game going, so I think it's going to be a Patrick Mahomes 2 or 3 touchdown type game. Lamar Jackson. I don't believe in this Baltimore offense right now. I know Lamar Jackson is coming off an MVP season. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't necessarily believe in his weapons right now. So I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I think it could be the under at 47. So I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think neither team's going to hit 30 points, and I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest.
Okay, so you have the Chiefs in this one. I'm going to concur. I like the Chiefs, and 47. That's just not a line I'd want to touch. In this one, so I wouldn't want anything to do with the line. I wouldn't want anything to do with I think it's Chiefs -3 in this one. I wouldn't want anything to do with that either. So yeah, it's Chiefs -3. Yeah. No thank you to either of them, but I will take the Chiefs outright with score of like 24-21, something like that.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be a super entertaining game for casuals that like to see touchdowns.
But you know what? It's going to be a super entertaining game because football's back, and that's
100%. God damn, it's been too long.
All right. You want to introduce the next game, Anthony?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. So we have tomorrow in St. Paul, Brazil. I know it's Sao Paulo, but let's be clear, that's just Brazilian for St. Paul. Not Portuguese. All right, cool. We've got, for some reason, the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. By the way, I'm going to say something. This bothers me. I like the fact that they're traveling international. I think it's good for growing the game. I don't know why you go to Brazil.
Yeah.
Now, there are other places in the world you can go. I know that it would be a bit of a struggle for the travel, but I promise you, Japan is so huge for NFL football. They love it. It's probably the second biggest country in the world for flag football. They love football. If you're going to go somewhere where people are going to show up, where you know that your players are going to be safe, where you can get great photo ops. These players can't even leave the freaking stadium. It's awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my side rant. Okay. How do I see this one going? I'm not totally sold yet on Jordan Love. I know he had a great second half of the season. I want to see him hold up over the course of the entire season. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are a better total team than the Green Bay Packers. So I do see the Eagles winning this one, though. Let's be clear. The travel is going to be weird, man. Like, there's no home teams here. There's no away teams. I genuinely, this one's going to be weird, man. I see it. I could see both teams being completely out of rhythm. I could see this being really messy. I could see it being an ugly game, and the NFL is going to forget about it by week 2. But I do think the Eagles are going to come out on top. And if they do, it's going to be an ugly game. I think there's going to be a lot of turnovers. I think there's possibly going to be a special teams touchdown. And I think the Eagles are going to win it in what might look like, by the score, a big margin. It could be like a 2-score game on the scoreboard, but it's not going to seem like that when we're watching it.
Okay. I'm actually going the opposite on this one. This is our first our first deviation here, Anthony. I like the Packers in this one. I'm not convinced that the Eagles' collapse from last year isn't over. I'm not convinced that they've gotten past that. How Nick Sirianni was able to hold on to his job is beyond me, man. I think when you have an epic collapse like that, somebody needs to lose their job. And it needs to be somebody that's not Brian Johnson. So it's fair to wonder right now what Nick Sirianni's role is with the Philadelphia Eagles, because they brought in Kellen Moore to be their offensive coordinator. They brought in Vic Fangio to be their defensive coordinator. Those two guys are fairly autonomous in what they do for their respective sides of the football. So what is Nick Sirianni even there for, other than to kind of be a distraction? Him and Jalen Hurts, it's been well documented, they don't get along very well. The ESPN article that came out a few weeks ago kind of highlighted that. I don't think that's behind them. And I think until they prove to me that it is, I'm not going to believe in the Eagles. So right now, and as you know, Anthony, last year I was predicting an Eagles collapse all season long.
You really were. Like, at some point I was just teasing you about it.
Yeah.
You're like, it felt like it was like, this is the week the Eagles are going to collapse.
Well, I feel like a doomsayer, I feel like, the guy outside, the sky is falling. The sky is falling.
That's exactly what that was.
But I felt it coming. With
the sign hanging off both sides.
Exactly.
The end is near. The end is near. Repent.
Exactly. And I was doing that all last year. And yeah, I know I came under fire for it, but I was right. And, that this isn't like me bragging or anything. I'm in Philadelphia and I'm able to kind of take a step back because I'm not an Eagles fan and kind of read the tea leaves a little bit better. Reading the tea leaves right now, I don't think they're over it.
Okay.
You collapse and then you lose leaders like Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce. I'm not convinced. I'm going Packers in a. I think it's going to be an ugly game, like you said. I think I'm going to say Packers like 27-19 or something like that.
Okay.
All right.
That's fair. Okay.
Moving right along, we're going to Sunday, 1:00. Arizona, Buffalo. 1:00 in Buffalo. What do you think, Anthony?
I went first last time. You got to go.
All right. Arizona, Buffalo. Yeah, we talked about this in the AFC Summit on Tuesday night. Every Tuesday night at 7:30, guys, we do an AFC Summit show. We talked about the Bills Arizona Cardinals game. I took the Bills by 10, and I'm standing by that. I think this is going to be a fairly close game until the very end. I think the Bills are going to get a late touchdown that's going to kind of put this game away with maybe like 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. I like the Cardinals, and I think the Cardinals are a better team than people are giving them credit for. So give me the Bills plus 10. Give me Bills 24-14.
So the line right now is the Bills -6.
Yeah.
So you're taking the Bills on that side.
Yes,
okay.
I am.
All right. I think that the Arizona Cardinals are a football team that match up very, very well against what the Bills do badly on defense. I think that they have game breakers. I think that Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that Trey McBride are two players that the Bills are going to struggle with. And I think that the thing is, I do think that the Bills can control the clock a bit, and I think that they can, because this Arizona defensive front will leak, especially against the run. But this is not going to be an easy team for them to put away. Let's put it that way. I could see the Bills getting a lead late in the fourth quarter, and I could see the Cardinals answering in kind and forcing the Bills to have to do it again, and then forcing the Bills to have to do it again. I don't see any game breakers, but aside from Josh Allen, I don't see anybody that can bust a game open on this Bills roster. I don't see that I see them in the offseason. I saw them bringing in the Marquez Valdez-Scantlings, the Chase Claypools, the type of guys that can take the top off of the defense and that can really threaten the deep ball. And none of those guys even stuck around.
Yeah.
Like, this team is matriculate the football down the field.
Mm-hmm. Hank Stram, baby.
Yeah, and like, maybe that works, maybe it don't work. This is the new NFL. Like, you don't need to have time of possession anymore. And one of those balls gets picked off by Budda Baker and run back 6 points for 6 points, and now this is a different football game. So, like, what's it going to look like without the Gabe Davises, without the Stephon Diggs that can really bust a game wide open? They don't have that speed. They don't have that explosiveness on offense right now. Arizona had 4 wins last year. 3 of their 4 wins came against playoff teams. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
And two of those games came with like Josh Dobbs at quarterback. This is a well-coached football team. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Gannon is a good coach.
He is.
That has proven he can get more out of this team than it's worth. And he's now had an entire offseason to improve the talent. And they've done a good job of improving the talent. We have another year of Paris Johnson, the left tackle, developing. I think this team, like you said, is a better football team than their record was last year. They're an improving football team. Do I think the Bills are going to win? Probably. Am I rooting a little bit for the Cardinals because I'm a Jets fan? Definitely.
Well, I'm definitely rooting for the Cardinals. Come on, man.
But at the same time, I don't feel like enough Bills fans are taking this game as seriously as they should. I think this is a dangerous team.
I agree. But you're taking the Bills.
I am taking the Bills. I am taking it a lot closer than 10 points. In fact, I would probably take the Cardinals +6.
Okay.
I think it's within that margin.
All right.
So,
next game.
With the next game, we have the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears visiting the Chicago Bears.
Yes. You know what? Give me the Bears on this one. I don't have a great feeling about it.
Cool.
I don't like the Titans. I'm not a huge fan of Will Levis. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that they lost Derrick Henry, who's been a staple of that backfield for almost a decade now. I don't love Caleb Williams, but I do love the talent they have on offense. I love what they're building down there. This is one of those games, and there's going to be dozens of them throughout the season, Anthony, where I don't have a good feeling about it going in. I don't have a good feel for which team's going to win. This is one of them. I don't know. I don't have a good feel for which team's going to win, but I will take the Chicago Bears. I'll take the Chicago Bears in a 30-24 game.
Okay. This is going to be a statement game with Chicago Bears. They're going to make an example of the Tennessee Titans. Last year, the last 10 weeks of the season, once they got Montez Sweat, they finished the year as a top 5 defense. Sneakily, as a top 5 defense. They've got more talent on offense than I've got fingers to count on. The team is absolutely devastating. They've got a young and improving offensive line. They are going to absolutely mollywomp this Titans team. Will Levis is going to turn the ball over at least 4 times. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins. Who are they throwing the football to? Who are they throwing these cornerbacks? Let's hope he doesn't drop it this time. Like, this team is going to get mollywomped. It's going to get stomped on. The Bears are going to put up 35 on them. If the Titans are lucky, they'll get into double digits. This game is going to get ugly. This game's going to get ugly fast.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's where I am with this game. It's gonna I can't wait. I hate Will Levis. All right.
Next game on my docket is the New England Patriots and Cincinnati Bengals.
Do we really need to talk about this game? Do we really need to talk about this game?
Well, we talked about it a lot on Tuesday. Well, we talked about it some on Tuesday. We talked about it as much as we could stomach on Tuesday.
As little as we could.
Yeah. Look, this is my suicide pool pick of the week.
Yeah.
I'm in a suicide pool, and for those of you who don't know what that is, that's you pick one team who's going to win every week. If that team wins, you move on to the next week, and the last person standing wins. You can't take the same team twice. But week 1, I have all the teams available to me, so I'm going to take the surest bet I can take, and I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals over the New England Patriots. I don't think this is going to be a particularly close game. Jamar Chase is probably going to play in it. T. Higgins is probably going to play in it. This is going to be – I think there's going to be a defensive touchdown for the Bengals. I think the Patriots are not a good team. Their offensive line's in shambles. We've been through all this on Tuesday night, and the poor Patriots rep, whoever that is, has to sit there and let us deride the Patriots endlessly. I like the Bengals in this game, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
No, I completely agree. I don't think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I don't think the Patriots are going to do too much, going to threaten the Bengals too much. It's going to be a scrimmage for the Bengals. And I think I'm done with this game already. Let's go ahead and talk about our next one. We've got the Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. For me, I actually think this might be a shootout. I love Anthony Richardson. If he can stay healthy, that game is fun. They've got some diamonds for downfield threats in Pittman, in AD Mitchell.
Yep.
They can run the football with Jonathan Taylor. They have a very strong offensive line. The defense is not amazing. The secondary, they have some okay pieces in the secondary. They drafted a guy named Juju Brents last year who was banged up for the first half of the season, played pretty okay. But let's be clear, this Texans team can score points on anybody. So, like, if Anthony Richardson can limit the turnovers and he can hit his downfield weapons, like, this could be a really fun game. This could be a sneaky, really fun game. Like, red zone popping up left and right.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to be surprised if this game ends up somewhere like 35-38, 42-35, something like that, where just like it's a scoring fest and like you just want somebody on that team for your fantasy league.
But who you taking, Anthony?
Oh yeah, I forget that part. I'm gonna take Houston, but I just think they're a better team. But like I want to see the Colts keep it close. It's gonna be fun.
I'm going to take Houston as well. I'm not as big a believer in Anthony Richardson. I need to. He's one of those guys where he was so raw coming out of college, and he did play last year, and he got hurt, and he was able to sit because he got hurt, which I think might benefit him in the long run. As weird as that may sound, I think the injury might have actually helped him a little bit, but I still need to see it on the field. He was getting mocked in joint practices during training camp because they said all he does is run. Well, guy's got a rocket for an arm. If he can harness that, he's going to be a very dangerous quarterback in the NFL. But has he harnessed it yet? I don't know. I'm taking the Houston Texans in this one, even though I think the Houston Texans are a candidate to regress mightily this season. I don't see it happening week 1.
He's got a rocket for an arm, and he's tested by far the most athletic quarterback that's ever tested in the history of the combine. Like that dude tested at like Calvin Johnson levels for wide receiver.
I'm not putting him down at all as far as athletic ability goes. He has all of it. I just don't know if he has. I don't know if he has the polish yet to be an NFL quarterback, to be an effective NFL quarterback.
I don't disagree with you. He's definitely more he could learn, but like what he has right now is already just like this big ball of tools, and like it's not like he's short of weapons. And Shane Steichen has worked with those tools before with Jalen Hurts, who is a lesser talent.
Yeah, that's a good point. But we're still both taking the Texans in this one.
Yeah, of course. CJ Stroud's the man. CJ Stroud's the GOAT. I love that dude. Best rookie year ever. All right, on to your football game.
On my are you talking Jacksonville, Miami?
Next game of the docket should be Jacksonville, Miami. No,
Jacksonville, Miami. Yes. Jacksonville, Miami. I talked about this on Tuesday. I talked about this last night on my channel, the Fins Forecast, with the guys on there. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I think this is going to be a fun game. I see this going much the same way you saw the Colts and Texans game going. I think it's going to be a shootout. Not much defense. So I had the Dolphins winning 40-34 last night on the show, and I'm going to stand by that. Dolphins 40-34.
Holy cow, that's a lot of points, man. I can see 40-34 in either way. I am going to pick the Dolphins in this game, though I think it's a scary game for the Dolphins.
It is.
Because the Jacksonville Jaguars are good at the thing that the Dolphins are bad at, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars are good at hitting a quarterback, and the Miami Dolphins are bad at protecting them. Yeah. It's not going to take much more than like Trayvon Walker walking on top of Tua Tagovailoa to make this game a whole lot different.
Yeah. And we talked about that last night, where how Dolphins offensive line matches up against the Jaguars defensive line, and we all had to concede that it's not a favorable matchup for the Dolphins. Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, and then you got guys in the middle of their line like Eric Armstead, who is a very good player still.
Yep.
And Dolphins have a weakness in the interior of their line. This, it's not going to be an easy game for the Dolphins to win, but I think that they ultimately come out on top because I think they're more talented.
No, I agree. They are definitely a more talented team, and it's just it's going to be an interesting game. I don't see it quite as high scoring as you do, but I totally understand how you can get there for sure. I'm going to go ahead and move on to an absolute snooze fest in Carolina versus New Orleans. Don't watch this game if you can avoid it, please. It's just it's going to break your brain. There's two bad football teams. They're both going to be fighting for a top 5 spot in the draft. I don't think it's going to be too long before Carolina is going to have to draft another quarterback. I kind of do too. I get it. But I just don't think he's got the tools to be an NFL quarterback. And then, New Orleans, just a crap org. He's constantly like leading the league in dead cap every year. I don't know how they manage to keep doing it to themselves. They can only field like 3/4 of a real NFL team. It's terrible. They still have guys under contract they should have cut 2 years ago.
Yep.
So it's just two bad football teams playing bad football. Avoid it. You can take next game if you want. Who's going to win? New Orleans, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take the Saints as well. New Orleans, they're just a team that's just there. And they've been just a team that's just there since
Drew
Sean
Brees
Payton left.
retired.
Yeah, Drew Brees retired, Sean Payton left. They're just a very mediocre, very just vanilla, blah team that nobody really wants to think or talk about. When they pop up on red zone, I stop paying attention. So that's what's going to happen on Sunday. But I am taking the Saints in this one, and we can move on because
it's a nothing game for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to introduce another snooze fest, actually, potential snooze fest between the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Football Giants.
Sam Darnold return game to New York.
Yeah. Sam Darnold's coming back. Sam Darnold's a starting quarterback. Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones. No, I guess I like the Vikings a little bit more in this game. I don't think the Giants have a lot of talent outside of Malik Neighbors, offensively. And defensively, they've got a couple of good edge rushers in Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, but ultimately, I think the Vikings were a team that was making noise last year before Kirk Cousins' entry. They were looking like a team that was, going into December, January, they were a team that you really didn't want to see on your docket because you thought, damn, they're sneaky good. I think this Vikings team can still be sneaky good, even with Sam Darnold under center. I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. A 10 to 14 point victory.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be 10. I think it's probably going to be at least 14 points. The fact of the matter is, Sam Darnold's a bad quarterback, but Daniel Jones is worse. Sam Darnold's at least a better quarterback than even Gardner Minshew. So, I think it's legitimately possible that you're still going to get a fantastic year out of Justin Jefferson, fantastic year out of Jordan Addison. They've got a really decent they've got probably one of the top 5 coaches, offensive head coaches in the league right now. You'd have to say O'Connell's got to be up there, and he specifically chose Sam Darnold. He had his choice of any of the mid quarterbacks that were free agents this year, and he was like, "No, get me that guy with the big head." I think it's gonna be a beatdown. I think the New York Giants are an absolute dumpster fire. I feel bad for Brian Daboll. I think before the end of the year, he might be back with the Bills as their offensive coordinator. I think they need it.
Yeah.
We missed a game early on. Let's go ahead and talk about the Pittsburgh-Atlanta game.
Pittsburgh-Atlanta, that's an intriguing one. Go ahead.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I actually have Atlanta in this game. I think Atlanta could score points. I think Pittsburgh right now, supposedly Russell Wilson has a busted up knee or something like that, or an ankle. It's a calf. That's what it is. It's between the knee and the ankle. I win. So he's an old man. He still throws a great deep ball. George Pickens is still a lot of fun, but that offense is super limited. They haven't figured out the offensive line despite using 2 first-round picks in the last 2 years on off a left and right tackle and switching them both for some reason from left to right tackle. I don't know how you managed to do that, but they did it. I think that Pittsburgh has a great defense. Atlanta's got a fun offense. It's going to be a cool game. The over-under is 41. I would take the over, and I'm going to take Atlanta in that game.
I'm going the opposite. I like Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. I like Mike Tomlin. I've always liked Mike Tomlin. I like the way he motivates his guys. I like the way he has his guys prepared. I think the offensive line woes of the Steelers, the offensive storylines of the Steelers this offseason, this preseason have been greatly overblown. They've spent a lot of capital on their offensive line. I think it's going to really pay off this season with a guy like Arthur Smith, who did a lot with a little in Tennessee. Maybe not necessarily in Atlanta, but he did a lot with a little in Tennessee. He had Derrick Henry, and he had a slip shot offensive line, and he made it work. So I see him doing something similar for the Steelers, and I think the Steelers are going to be one of those old school type of football team this year. Excuse me. Run the ball, play good defense, and win ugly-looking football games, which is how I see this one playing out. This is going to be an ugly one.
I don't disagree that he's an old school football coach. He was an offensive line coach. He is going to straighten out that offensive line, but that's a later problem. I don't think it's straightened out yet. And I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to get him before they really start to establish the run.
Okay.
So to speak. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and hit on to the 4:00 games for you guys on the East Coast. I'm in the Central. It's only 3:00 for me. Let's start off with the Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Please, can we stop moving these teams? I really liked San Diego. I really liked Oakland. This is ridiculous. Yeah. So I don't. It's the stoppable force versus the, I don't know, what is it? The movable object. Stoppable force versus the movable object. Here we go. It's going to be the Chargers because the Vegas Raiders have literally no talent on either side of the football except for Max Crosby. But like neither team is. You've got Justin Herbert throwing to nobody.
Yeah.
And then you have Gardner Minshew on the other side. Like this is not gonna be a good football game. I guess it's interesting in the perspective that like Jim Harbaugh, is it Jim Harbaugh or John Harbaugh? I forget which one. There's a new Harbaugh in there.
Yeah. And
you're gonna want to see him establish the run because that's what he told you he's gonna do.
That's what he always does.
That's what
he did in San Francisco. That's what he did in Michigan and Stanford and everywhere he's gone.
How many times has Greg Roman gone between a Harbaugh?
Yeah. he's
like Harbaugh to Harbaugh.
Yep.
This is dude's career.
But that's, he's made a living off of this, and he's made a living off of creating good running schemes, good running games. And I'm taking the Chargers in this one as well. And Jim Harbaugh, I trust. He's going to right the ship in San Diego, in Los Angeles. I already did it.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Next game, we have the Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks. Two teams that have not moved. Thank God.
Yeah. Give me the Seahawks. I don't think this one's going to be close. I think Denver's going to be in contention for the top overall pick. They've been singing Bo Nix's praises all training camp, all preseason. You know what? Maybe he is the second coming of John Elway. But until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. Give me the Seahawks in a game that's not going to be close at all. I almost took this one as my suicide pick of the week.
That's not so bad, actually. To be honest with you, every game Bo Nix starts and does terrible is the game Zach Wilson's closer to starting.
Yeah.
So that's the only interesting thing I have for this game. I don't know any Seattle Seahawks in fantasy, so
I do. I have Kenneth Walker.
Do you? You have Kenneth Walker. That's the one to own. That's the one.
I think he's going to run wild on that team.
Yeah, this game's going to get ugly in a hurry. The over-under is 41. Is it because they don't think Denver can score points, or are they forgetting that like Geno Smith 2 years ago like just lit up the world with DK Metcalf, Taylor Lockett, and now they have Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah,
and a healthy offensive line.
Yeah, give me the over in this one. Smash the over. 41. Oof,
I think that's a fair assumption to go ahead and smash that one. Next game.
Cowboys Browns. Sorry. Cowboys at the Browns. A lot of turmoil in Dallas this offseason. Dak Prescott still not getting paid. Jerry Jones just out there getting older and more senile by the second.
They got to put him out the pasture.
Yeah, they do. But they finally paid CeeDee Lamb. They're bringing back guys like Trayvon Diggs. Of course, Michael Parsons is coming back on defense. They didn't do much in free agency other than like bring in Ezekiel Elliott and bring in Dalvin Cook. The corpse of Dalvin Cook is back. In spite of all that, I'm still taking the Cowboys because I don't think much of the Browns. I don't think much of Deshaun Watson. I think they have a really good defense, but until Deshaun Watson proves to me that he can be even a shadow of the player that he was in Houston, I'm not going to believe in the Cleveland Browns. So give me the Cowboys in this one in a 31-20 kind of game.
I'm going to take the other side of this, not because I think that the Browns are a better football team, just because I feel like the Cowboys have a history of getting beaten when they get some resistance early in a season.
Okay.
I think that the Browns could actually sneak up and beat the Dallas Cowboys. Plus, the Browns have a new offensive corner. They've always had who's their head, Stefanski as their head coach. They brought in Ken Dorsey from the Bills.
Yeah.
And his spread offense, I think, is going to suit Deshaun Watson a little bit better. I still don't think much of him as a quarterback, and even less as a human being.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But like, this is a home game for Cleveland. Cleveland does have an absolutely disgusting defense. I do think what you said is correct. I do think there's some turmoil right now in Dallas, and I think it's entirely possible that Cleveland can capitalize on that early. So I'm going to take Cleveland in this one. Next matchup, we've got the Washington Commanders, though everybody seems to want them to change their name back to Redskins, which I'm fine with because Commanders is a stupid name.
It is.
Versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give me Tampa Bay in this game. I don't really think that much of Jaden Daniels. I think he's a lot of fun, but I also think that he's the kind of fun like you give your 7-year-old nephew M&Ms and then give him back to his parents.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's the kind of fun that's long lasting.
I think that the Bucs are probably a better team. I don't know if they can repeat their success that they had last year. I don't know if that's necessarily repeatable. I'm taking the Falcons to win that division, but give me the Bucs in this one. I'm just not sold on what the Commanders are doing right now. I actually like Dan Quinn as a head coach. I like Dan Quinn as a coach in general.
Okay.
I think he will right this ship eventually if he can harness the potential in Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels does have some talent. So if he can harness that and bring that out of him, Commander's going to be fine. But right now, I'm not saying it. Give me the Bucs in a game that's not particularly close.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the Bucs are at home, so I take the Bucs here as well. I think that's absolutely the right play.
Sunday night.
Last game of Sunday, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Let's move them again. And the Detroit Lions. Over under in this one is 52.
Yeah. That's not an over under line that I even want to go anywhere near. Personally. Give me the Rams in this one. Give me the Rams.
Damn it.
I love Sean McVay. I love him as a coach. I love Matt Stafford. I've loved him since Detroit. I've loved him since he got murdered behind terrible Detroit offensive lines, and he was throwing YOLO balls up to Calvin Johnson constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford is a damn good quarterback. He's a damn good human being. I love Matthew Stafford, and I like this Rams team to be a scary team. As the season goes on, as the fall winds turn to winter winds, this Rams team is going to be a scary team. And some people are picking them to be the Super Bowl representative by the NFC. I'm one of them. I think they're going to come out of the NFC and be the Super Bowl representative. I think that they're that good. So give me the Rams in this one over the Lions. I also don't think the Lions are going to be able to necessarily repeat what they did last year. So take that for what it's worth.
Okay. I was going to take the Rams too, so I'm going to take the Lions and hope that I can get an extra win up on you.
Fair enough.
All right, cool. Last game of the week, New York Jets, San Francisco 49ers. The line is -4.5 San Francisco. I'm taking the Jets because I'm a Jets fan.
I'm taking the 49ers because I can't stand the Jets. Also, I think that they're more talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
I disagree that they're more talented. I agree they're more talented on the offensive side of the ball, though. I do think I do think there's a huge talent disparity in terms of quarterback. I think Aaron Rodgers is significantly better than Brock Purdy.
Okay.
I think that Breece Hall, healthy, is better than Christian McCaffrey banged up right now. And I think our defense is better. I just think the top end of our defense is better. So I think it's going to be a close game.
I do too.
And I mean, we also have one little thing in the basket. We have a very good special teams coach. And our special teams coach won us Monday Night Football last year.
That's true. That's true. He did.
So I am taking the Jets. I do think it's going to be close. I do think it's going to be a fun game so long as Aaron Rodgers' Achilles stays intact.
I think it's going to be a fun game. I think, I think 49ers are just a little more battle tested right now. And Monday Night Football, opening game of the season, 49ers going to be up to the challenge, whereas the Bills weren't last year. The 49ers will be. Kyle Shanahan's going to have these guys prepared and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the 49ers.
Sounds good.
All right.
We got through, man.
That's week one, guys.
I went through in 30 minutes. It's 41. We'll get faster, man.
Yes. But, guys, if you like what you saw, subscribe, drop a nickel on that subscribe button, Nickel City Mafia. We're going to be here every Thursday at 7 o'clock, giving you our picks right before Thursday Night Football. And, hey, look, football's back. You got Chiefs Ravens tonight, so enjoy some football, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, take care. We will. Let's get a running score graphic up here.
Yeah, we will. We'll get that going.
All right. Cool.
All right. Fins up.